Have you always wanted one of those sexy achievement medallions, but you weren't going to do a marathon? Well, check this out. What's happening out here walking, getting in some miles today. Pretty hot day today, so even though I haven't gone that far yet, man, I'm sweating like a pig. And one of the things that I discovered here was a company called Conqueror Challenges, I think is what they're called. And they have those medallions that look like you've run a marathon, but they're kind of goofy and fun. And they have different challenges like the Mordor Challenge or the hiking challenge. And one of the ones that I thought was interesting was the Mount Everest challenge. From base camp to the top of the peak or something is 40 miles. And so that is the challenge, to walk, run, jog 40 miles. And so I actually signed up for that one because I thought, it's not that bad. And you can do it in your own time and you can do it in your own pace. And so I am a walker, not really a jogger. I actually signed up on their app, and you actually have to pay for it. So there's a little bit of an incentive to get that medal because you're kind of overpaying for that medal, but you actually want it and you've got $40 at stake, or $39.99 or something like that. Now, I actually wasn't sure when I would be able to do this or how many steps I would get in a particular day. And so I set it up for 12 months. So you can set it up for everything from a few days to 12 months. And that's what I did. So I've got myself plenty of time. But just because I started it yesterday and my iPhone was tracking my distance and steps, and I did a little walking like I am today, I apparently got in 3+ miles yesterday, and I'm going to get just as many today. So I'm going to get 6 or 7 miles in the first 2 days. But if you're a jogger, there are a lot of people who jog a couple miles or 4 miles a day. And so you'll be able to knock this thing off in like a week. But more than anything, it's fun. It's gamifying, staying healthy and staying active. And so I just want that medal, just like a lot of people do. Superficial, materialistic. That's what I am, baby. And certainly proud of it. But whatever gets you moving, I think that's a good thing. So we're going to keep walking here. And if I can hit the 40 miles, that's a nice house over here. Anyway, hopefully have something to show you in a couple weeks. All right, guys. Day 4 of the walking challenge here. So still getting in the miles, losing daylight. And I got to run up to Home Depot to get some yard stuff before they close. So gonna do that, but hopefully we're a little closer to getting that medal because, man, I want it. All right, guys, so it is actually day 8, even though my app says day 7, but it's the end of the week here, and I realize that I am just on the cusp of finishing off this 40 miler. Now, a lot of those miles have come from just walking, doing your normal everyday stuff. Maybe you walk the golf course. I don't know why you would do that when they rent you a golf cart, but some people do. But for me, I've gotten the extra miles by doing a little walking most every day here. There was one day I didn't because the weather was really bad and I was just exhausted, but I'm actually so close. 4.9 miles, I think, is what I need to finish this guy off. And it's a pretty nice day right now. It's in the 70s. It's not too hot like it has been in the past. And I thought, well, the gamification is working. 1, I want that medal. 2, I want to see what the final process is like. Do I actually have to request it, or when you hit your goal, do they just drop it in the mail to you? So I want to know what the whole process is to share that with you so that when you do your challenge and conquer it, that you'll get your award to your medal and then show it to you. But because I'm so close, 4.9 miles, I thought I'd probably get another couple miles today just by doing my normal activities. But why not just knock them out as quickly as possible here? So if I walk an extra 3 or 4 miles right now, by midnight tonight, I should have all the miles needed for the challenge. And then we will see what the next stage is. And maybe if I do another one, because I wouldn't say that maybe my body's showing a lot of difference by doing the walking challenge for 1 week, but it's certainly good for you. And, getting an hour walking in a day is pretty nice, peaceful time to think. So let's get walking today and finish this guy up and see what's next. All right, what's happening, Conquerors? So I just went ahead and finished off the challenge today, which was, the 4.9 miles. So got that knocked out, lickety splickety. Not really, actually. It took me quite a while because I was just walking and listening to audiobooks. So listen to an interesting one called Wonder Boy if you are ever interested in that. But one of the things that I wanted to reflect on here was a couple of things that were insightful to me. First of all, one, I really like the fact that these challenges don't require you to run or be on a treadmill or climb or anything like this, because I was thinking about the hierarchy, the pyramid of people and fitness. And I'm on the bottom of that hierarchy, right? I'm not one that's fit at all, and I am mostly sedentary because I am just doing office work, working at my computer, and so getting up and doing stuff is not necessarily part of the daily formula for me. Now, if you are loading boxes at a loading dock or stacking shelves at Home Depot, the irony of it is that you are probably staying pretty fit. There was a news story a long time back about how UPS drivers are so fit, and I was thinking, isn't that kind of obvious? They're walking all day, carrying stuff, and that seems like it would be pretty obvious that they would stay fit. So actually, it seems like a perfect job. You're getting paid to stay in shape, which is pretty cool. Now, the thing about that pyramid, I think, is that we're trying to always figure out how to get people more active. And, the top of the pyramid, the people that do the Ironman, my buddy Dan Swenson, who has crushed that out, who will do a 100-mile bike ride at the drop of a hat just to burn a few hours, right, of time. People like that are pretty unique. They're really driven. They probably don't need an app. I doubt they even use apps, maybe just to kind of track themselves or be more scientific about it or analytical. But, there are people in the middle who probably do high-intensity workout and, are pretty routine about that and keep themselves in shape and look pretty good all the time. Those types of people, and maybe they would benefit from this because, hey, doing that 1,000-mile challenge or jogging that 40 miles in a day or two is just something that, is kind of like entertaining for them. But for many of us, it's not even setting a goal per se, but it's just activating you from a sedentary or stable state into an active state. And it doesn't really matter what it is. And I've heard many times that just walking an hour a day will actually keep you in pretty good shape. And that seems pretty easy. Everyone's got an extra hour. You're probably watching TV or watching YouTube or listening to audiobooks or whatever. So converting people from that no move state to a move state is actually pretty hard. That's the bottom of that pyramid. And so an app like this, a program like this, I think is pretty nice because it's saying that, hey, I don't care if you do that 40 miles over 365 days, which is what I signed up for, which is why you can see on my bar, I'm only using 1% of the time and 100% of the goal, right? And the other thing is at the beginning, someone who doesn't necessarily walk regularly, I don't even know how far I walk. I don't really track it on my Apple Watch. I've never owned a Fitbit, those types of things. And so saying 40 miles seems like a lot to me, but in reality, 40 miles is not a ton. Let's just say that you walk an average of 1 to 2 miles a day over 7 days. That is 14 miles that you're walking every day. And I've heard if you walk around a golf, that's another 3 miles. If you play soccer, that's another 3 miles or whatever, right? So most of us probably have 15 miles available to us each week. And to do a 40 miler is probably not that big of a deal. And if you don't do anything to change your lifestyle, you're probably gonna hit that 40 miles in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks anyway. So this is just something that kind of was at least top of the mind for me. The app had some reminders, some cool things that you got right away. And so I wanted to knock this out pretty quickly. And it did raise my level of activity, right, from that bottom rung, maybe just kind of like to the top portion of the bottom rung. So the other thing that I noticed here, and that I'm surprised, but I think a lot of people wouldn't be, is that walking actually does kind of stress out muscles that you don't necessarily use a lot, right? Definitely in my calves and my thighs, I felt it the most. In fact, my calves, for whatever reason, really felt it. Maybe that's because you're rolling and walking on your toes and whatnot. And I really noticed it when I was about to jump in the shower. When you turn on the water to the shower and it's cold for, 30 or 60 seconds right before that hot water gets there, I would just turn on that water, super cold, and spray my calves just to kind of cool them down, save myself from having to take an Advil. And that cold water helped take out some of the trauma. If I had one of those cold water baths, those tubs or something, I would have definitely used that just to kind of cool off and relax my feet a little bit. And the other thing I noticed is that just like in my core, my stomach, and even my arms and in my sides, and even a little bit in my neck and all that stuff, there was a little soreness, a little stiffness, which just shows how much you're using some of these, even just walking, right? Now, I will say, not 100% of my 40 miles was walking. There were times when I said, all right, from here to there, I'm just going to do a light jog. I'm just going to do a light jog up this hill or for this block or whatever. So there was the sporadic time when I felt like, hey, I'm not really pushing myself and I've got plenty of extra energy, and I would just kind of do a little bit of a light jog in there too. So it wasn't just walking, but most of it was walking. The vast majority of it was walking. So what I'm saying here is that even if it's just walking, and you might feel like, well, that's kind of easy, anyone can just kind of walk and probably walk indefinitely for the most part. Forrest Gump did it. it can actually be a good way to burn some calories. You won't burn a ton. I kind of noticed on my app, right, you're burning like 170, 180 calories for these walks. This is not going to alleviate your Big Mac meal, but it's a nice way to get a couple extra 100 calories burned over what you are normally doing. Now, the last thing I will say here is obviously gamification works. We know that because games work. People love playing games, and if you are just getting rewarded for moving your thumbs, then every game would pay you. Now, put on walking, running, jogging, those types of things, and the little stupid medal is kind of a nice thing, and seeing it being tracked is kind of a nice thing, and all those little stupid things, kind of kept me going. And I think one of the nice things is that the challenges are very compact. So even though I picked that Everest 40-mile challenge, they do have like a 21-mile challenge. So if you haven't done anything and you just want to get started, I would certainly recommend that. But they have 100-mile, 150-mile, 1,000-mile, 1,400-mile challenges. Those things kind of blow my mind. But if you do the Atomic Habits, kind of small pieces here, set it for a year if you want, I bet you could probably get it. But I think a lot of us like that instant gratification, getting that reward, which is why I did more miles today than I would normally do. All right, another thing I wanted to mention about this is obviously if you have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something that's tracking your steps, even carrying your iPhone somehow, capture some of your activity, it will automatically put those into the app. I was using the Nike Run app when I was walking, and it would import that. But if you are doing other things, there are some ways that the app will allow you to input that. So I saw a little table of conversions, like if you're carrying stuff or doing flights of stairs or doing something with weights or something like that, there were kind of some formulas like you would put that in and it would convert those to distance for you. So if you are active in other ways, you can absolutely get credit for that. And I actually saw someone on the Facebook page, I think, say something about like they were rolling something for a mile, and then someone shared the formula for how to convert that. So you get some credit for some of the other activities that you do. You may have to manually input those, but you can certainly do it. Now, the other thing is, because you have that ability to manually post, I guess you could cheat too, but that's kind of defeating the point. You're only robbing yourself. And if anyone's going to rob you, it should be me. You don't want to rob yourself. That's stupid. You want to have someone else rob you so that they get the benefit of that, right? So the other thing with the manual posting is that right now the weather's nice. You can go outside, walk. It's measuring that GPS, getting a pretty accurate reading. But if you don't have that option, like you're doing that walking treadmill at the office, or you have a walking board, or you're just doing flights of steps or something like that, some of the devices might track that, but you can just record what that is and then put that in there. So even if you go on your treadmill and I crank out 3 miles and it doesn't say anything because your GPS didn't register anything, don't fret. Go ahead and just plug that in, especially if you get into bad weather or the winter and you want to keep doing some of these challenges. You can certainly do it that way, which is really nice too, that there's that option to get that information in there if the technology isn't able to read it. All right, and now the last thing that I want to do here is actually check the app, because now that I've completed the distance for it, and I think I would like to do another little challenge, collect some more of the medals, I want to show you what actually happens as we cross over that threshold. So probably today, I'm probably going to see my normal steps get added into that total, so I don't know where it's actually going to fall, but since I know I'm over that, I can explain how the completion of the challenge is, because at this point, I actually don't know. So let's take a look at the app and see what it says. All right, now that I have finished the challenge, I'm looking at the app here, and in notifications it says, congratulations, you finished. So there is some automation here, and I have completed this Everest challenge, and looks like, hey, did you make a mistake? Did you strap your Apple Watch to the wagging tail of your dog and get a bunch of credit that you don't deserve? Well, you can correct that there. But since I did this, since I'm a sweaty, sore mess, I'm going to claim my medal. And I think it's just as easy as hitting get your medal. And now it looks like I just enter my information here. So it's kind of like a normal checkout. And I will do that and see what we get. All right, so I submitted it. It says, thanks for confirming your address. Will be on its way, so that's cool. And it certainly leaves no stone unturned. It's tempting me to start another challenge. 5 challenges, save 20%, $159. So basically a challenge is $40, right? So $160, you save 20%. If you do one challenge, save 10%, $36 instead of the standard $40. I don't know that I'll need to do this. If anything, I might just do one challenge and pick something that's a little bigger, but I'm not going to do any new challenges quite yet, although I will do another one because this was a lot of fun. But what I want to do here is see what the metal looks like before I do anything else. And you can see all of this stuff here. And when it gets here, I will show you what it looks like. All right, so you know that I finished my Conqueror challenge. Oh yeah, baby. And I just got the medal for it. So it actually arrived 7 days after I completed the form. I actually thought this was coming from overseas or something because I got a DHL notification, but I think it came from Michigan or something like that. So it's not exactly 2-day prime, but I was thinking it would take a lot longer to get. But you will get it maybe a week after you finish your challenge, so that's pretty nice. The positive feedback loop is pretty fast there. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what it's like. All right, I don't want to rob you of any of this here, so I have not even taken a look at it. It comes in a plastic pouch here and just in a bubble envelope. And you can see here, it says, "Are you ready to conquer another challenge?" on the back. So certainly pitching more challenges to you, which you can certainly do. Virtually anything is possible, but many things are impossible. It doesn't say everything is possible. Just kind of note that, at least they're being realistic about things. The Conqueror virtual challenge, and then I can just open this up here. Obviously your medal will be different depending on which challenge you take, and there it is. It's supposed to be attached to this little double-sided tape there, and there is my Everest challenge completed. And it's pretty heavy. I don't want to call it pewter, but I don't know what this is, but they're some sort of cast metal. Kind of reminds me of pewter, I guess. It's kind of intricately wrapped around the paper there, but it does come with a ribbon here, so you can certainly wear it. Looks like I get polygon shaped like people here. Congratulations on conquering your challenge. You can share that on social media. They have a very active Facebook group, that is for sure, but it's just that we don't actually get any indication of what challenge it is. So the packaging is the same for all the challenges, I guess, but this is the medal that we get here. So I just want to kind of take a close look at it because it is pretty impressive. And what I like about these medals is that this company, Conqueror, has gone to this like vertical rectangular portrait mode medal. A lot of them will have big round medals or maybe just kind of like larger, you know, more Olympic style medals, but this kind of vertical square shape is generally their thing. You can see it's enamel filled here. Now it's part of what makes it expensive because you can do that with a needle and stuff like this. It says 40-mile challenge right there. I'm not sure if you can see it down there, and it has some relief on it. It's pretty nice looking and some color there. The Conqueror up there, this is all skeletonized, and we get a little pickaxe up there. And then on the back we get the reverse of the mountain and the back of a hiker going up there. And man, there's a lot of relief on that. I'm not sure if you're able to see that, but lots of relief. So lots of detail. Man, it just feels weighty. It feels good in the hand here. And then we get a ribbon here that kind of looks like the flags that hang at the Mount Everest base camp here in Conqueror right up there. All right, so the next thing I have to do is go ahead and put this on because I have earned it. Oh yeah, so nice, so nice. Right? This will be on the cover of Runner magazine. And two thoughts now that I have completed this guy is that, one, the medal is not something that was going to impress a lot of people. Although in the community, it's certainly impressive. And especially if you don't work out or something like that, you know, walking 40 miles, walking 100 miles, walking 200 miles. They have a challenge that's like walking 1,000 miles or 2,000 kilometers. That's gonna be one that's gonna take you a little time. So that is impressive in and of itself, but like a walking challenge in an app isn't recognized by anyone. And so, you know, you can buy cases to display these, but it's not like running a marathon or a half marathon where people understand that you do it in a day, in a few hours or whatever it takes, right? So you kind of lose a little bit of that, but you know, within this community, we're all very supportive of each other, and a lot of this is just for you to improve yourself, not necessarily to be beholden to some social construct of what a race is or anything. All right. The other thing that I wanted to mention here is that the Conqueror challenge actually does work. In fact, the day after I finished my challenge, I actually didn't go walking, and I realized, you know what? I didn't walk today because there was nothing necessarily urging me on. There was no kind of accountability to it. And so I actually did sign up for another challenge, a shorter one, the English Channel one or something, just to kind of get me back into the routine of, you know, having done walks every day for a few days or a week or whatever it was, and then taking a day off. you want to have some sort of mechanism to motivate yourself, right? And this does work. And just knowing that that mile or 2 miles is going to show up in the app, certainly does work. The last thing that I was thinking about, and why I really love this and the idea of this, is that a lot of people are very sedentary, me included, sitting around at a computer all day. Some days you maybe don't get out and stay active, and you kind of find yourself letting go a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that I really love about this is it's really good for people who are kind of going from 0 to 10 miles an hour instead of 0 to 60. It's so tempting, I think, once you say, hey, I want to get in shape and the weather's around, I want to get that beach body, and you kind of overdo it. You go out and push yourself. And in fact, the first time I joined CrossFit, I actually threw my back out on the first day. Not like at the end of the day after I worked out, like in the first 10 minutes where we just had to pick up the medicine ball and throw it back and forth, throw out my back, and that's just the problem of kind of going from nothing to going to high activity. Now, some people can do that, and younger people can probably go from 0 to 100 much quicker. But for the rest of us, if you don't want to be stuck in bed for a couple weeks and kind of be out of commission for a few weeks, you don't want to try to take on more than you can. And I think something like this, a walking, running, jogging challenge at your own pace, is a perfect way to kind of go from kind of that low energy state to getting more active so that you can do other things and maybe get in better shape. So I just think that this is a great bridge, as opposed to joining that gym and pushing yourself so hard that you just feel ill the next day, or taking a class or whatever it might be. This is something that can just get you over that hump and get you started, get you activated, and make the process healthier and easier for you as you do it. So obviously something like this is really cool. I love it, but you're not going to walk around with this. Look, guys, even if you won an Olympic gold medal, you wouldn't wear it out in public. That'd be a douchebag thing to do. It's just for your own edification to put on display. But, because I earned this thing, I'm wearing it everywhere. And when I say I'm wearing this thing every day, it's as much of my daily outfit as my satin boxer shorts, which I'm not wearing today. I should put those on. But I'm wearing the sucker everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. So, you got to show it off. But I tell you what, if you want to join me on a challenge here, do a little walking, do a little hiking, get in better shape, just get off your butt and kind of do a little exercise and get rewarded with this handsome medal, which you can wear everywhere and should be a part of your regular daily apparel, then I will put a link in the description to where you can get 10% off. It's my referral code, so I think we both benefit a little bit. So I would encourage you to sign up, join me on the next trail, and let's start collecting these.